Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please, Jen.
Shelley Fryant, Anita Matt,
Present.
Sharma Gillen, Carol Langford, Len Tutis, Bing Matt, Ellie Bundy, Martin Charlo,
Present.
Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
James Steele Sr.
Lynn, could you start us off in a prayer? Thank you, Lynn. We have a set of minutes from July 20th.
Madam Vice Chair, on the irrigation issue that Joel Claremont brought in the other day, did we get any updates on that?
No, Lynn, we haven't, but we talked with the superintendent yesterday, and she's willing to come over and visit with us at the chairs meeting, and she was going to talk to Jen about getting a schedule for that.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Martin.
on page 13, the second sentence, could I just put, you did research and found enough information to bring in a resolution? And I know that's kind of redundant, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And then I'll make a motion to approve.
Got a motion by Martin to approve the minutes of July 20th. Second by Ellie. All those in favor? Excuse me. Do we have any walk-ins? No walk-ins, okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for July 27th? Motion by Charmel, second by Ellie. All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, thank you. First up is a resolution approval, and are you also, Ruth, are you representing that resolution as well? No? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the first resolution, then we'll get Ruth up for hers for OFM. So the resolution is to facilitate the right earning opportunities or job for every member who wants one, consistent with the tribe's mission and vision. Has everybody got to look at that? It's on page 2 and 3.
Madam Chair, I'd make the motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Martin, second by Ellie. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous, motion carries. Good morning, Ruth. Ruth's resolution or presentation is on pages 4 to 6. Go ahead, Ruth.
Good morning. Requesting approval for the resolution to approve modification 6 to our total budget allocations. So the increase is just over 6 million. Will increase funding available for health and human services, natural resources, education, forestry, and to tribal earmarks, for a total revised allocation of 289.3 million. It's hard to read that.
Any questions for Ruth? Martin?
Madam Chair, I'd make the motion to approve the modification number 6.
Motion by Martin, second by Mike. All those in favor? Unanimous? Motion carries.
And then,
Madam-
Madam,
Thank you, Ruth.
I had one thing before Ruth leaves, if possible.
Okay, go ahead.
Ruth, have you had any luck getting any of the work plans from any of the other departments? And if not, please just CC council when you request them next time, and
Mhm.
we'll make sure that those are to you sooner than later, because I know this fiscal year is closing very quickly.
I did email council yesterday, all of the work plans that had been submitted, and noted those that had not been. I did receive tribal preservations earlier this morning. I had a couple questions about it. So as those continue to come in, I'll keep you aware. Rick had asked me yesterday just to forego any further requests for them, and then he would manage that at some point with you, I would think. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Oh, we're running a little ahead. We don't have CT scheduled till 10 o'clock with the forest or fire update. Okay. Okay. Does council have anything they wish to discuss? Go ahead, Beam.
Yeah, I'd like to just bring up our district meeting down in Arlene tomorrow night at 6:30. I just got a call from Ryan Ruscio a few minutes ago, and he was asking what he wanted to present, and I asked him to see if he could ask him to present some updates on the water compact and also the resolutions and priorities that we've set. So he said he'd do that for me. And I was going to see if I could get forestry to come up too and give a update to the people, you know, on the forest, on the fires up in our neck of the woods up there. So if they come in this morning, I'm going to ask them to do that.
Okay, thank you, Bing. And you said that that might be available for on Zoom.
Yeah, we're going to have it on Zoom.
Okay,
Yeah. Ryan's going to be on Zoom.
all right. Okay, did they get the powwow grounds figured out for the camp? Okay. Oh, okay, all right. All right, thank you. Lynn?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair and members of the council. I have two issues I'd like to discuss with council this morning. The first is I received a donation request from one of my constituents. It's Kiowa in Cashola. Kiowa is, as you guys all know, has been working really hard on the project called Cooking for Kiowa. She's still requesting to do a presentation for council at some point in time. So if we could plan that here and get that on the schedule, that would be great. Kiowa is also in the process of making T-shirts that she would like to T-shirts that she would like to sell, and what they are that it's a picture of her, call it Cooking for Kiowa. And so she was requesting a monetary donation request of $500 for her project. And so I told her I'd bring that forth to council and assist her with getting that donation request form in. So I think it's something that we should support. You know, she's always worked hard at this Cooking for Kiowa project that she's been doing, and she's really looking forward to wanting to do her presentation for council. So that would be great. The next item is I received a request last week from the Kootenai Culture Committee. They were wanting to do an elders stick game memorial. I believe I forget what the date was. I think it was in August. They wanted to do this over at the Elmo Stick Game ground. Yeah, Elmo Stick Game Pavilion. And so I also bring that request in the council, and they let them know that they're familiar with the process of having to work with tribal lands and making sure that the appropriate permit is in place. But I think that is another great project that I would like to see council to support. So I just wanted to bring that forward. I'm not sure if it needs council approval or if they just go through the permit process.
I believe they just go through that permit process down with lands.
Okay.
So thank you for bringing those two issues forward, Lynn.
Okay.
If there's not anything else, I guess we could take a break until forestry gets here. Okay. Jen, was fire control on their way up? Okay, so we probably went. Good morning. Okay, we'll call her back to order and we got fire control update.
Let me pull out my info on my phone. Okay, take my glasses off. Okay, I'm not sure too aware of how many fires are that you're aware of that we have. We have currently 5 fires, 2 lightning fires. The Crooks fire, which is 15 acres, is in the Jocko area. And then the Gold Creek fire, which is 1/4 of an acre. And that's also in the Jocko area. Both lightning fires. The Gold Creek fire, the 1/4 acre one, is 90% contained, and it's kind of just on patrol status. The Crooks fire, the 15-acre fire, is active. And what I've just found out this morning was they pulled the folks off of the fire. You guys know the area pretty well, pretty hairy area. Rocky, thick vegetation, downfall, safety issues, obviously, things like that. And with the inversion with the smoke, it's pretty tough to get aviation in there most parts of the day. The human caused fires, the ones I'm usually concerned with the most. We have a North Crow fire and North Crow 2. One is 4 acres and one is just 1/10 of an acre, maybe size this table. And they are both 90 to 100% controlled. They're pretty much out. They're just patrolling them. Finley fire, that one happened Sunday. That one is 18 acres. They have it as 40% contained as of last night, but I think it's a little more today. I was there yesterday and helped investigate the fire. So just my opinion, it's over 50% contained. It's pretty controlled. There are lots of equipment and they're putting that one out. Those 3 person caused fires are suspicious. Not sure. There was no evidence left of ignition devices or anything like that, but someone went in there and lit them intentionally. So those are 5 fires that we're dealing with. You know about the Little Money fire, that's pretty much taken care of. They're just patrolling that every day, making sure everything's good on that fire. Other than that, got any questions on the 5 fires we have or what kind of we're doing? We have lots of resources. Overall, in my opinion, we've been pretty fortunate on the reservation so far with what's been going on around us. We've had a lot of big fires, a lot of big lightning fires, things around us that are putting all the smoke into the valley here and everything. And we've been fortunate enough to keep everything small, catch everything quick enough. We got abundance of resources to be ready. So hopefully it continues to be in our favor.
Lynn?
Question, Madam Chair. So Dev, we have all of our contractors working right now.
Yes.
And I was just going to mention, and if we didn't, if we were just to keep them on standby and keep them on pay status, just to.
Yeah, and I know we're at a planning level 5, which is pretty much beef up, the resources, get everybody on. And I know when I come in the morning, it's packed. When we go on the fire, it's nice to see when we go on this 18-acre fire and there's tons of equipment, tons of contract engines and contract equipment. So right now I use the word overkill. But it's nice to have all that. It's like tons of us at a fire and it's like, okay, you take this little piece, we'll take and whatnot. But far as I know, there's a lot of contract equipment out there. So that's good to see.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you if it's 100% because I'm not the contracting officer, but I do see lots of contractors. So.
All right. Thanks, Deb.
You bet.
Go ahead, Bing.
Hey, Deb, tomorrow night we're having a district meeting down in Arlene, and I don't know if I could get a fire update from you down there tomorrow. You could do it on Zoom if you guys can,
Okay,
because we're gonna have it over Zoom tomorrow. So
okay, yep,
maybe-
I'll let CT know.
Okay.
I'm kind of standing in by for him today. He had to take off the morning and part of the afternoon, but I will make sure that they're aware of that and
Okay, thanks, Deb.
get you a little better. Cause this morning, it's kind of tough tracking everybody down. They, the briefings here, briefings there. And trying to get Bob McCray corralled and a few other peoples to get better. I was trying to get better containment, percentages and stuff. Cause a lot of people like to hear that containment. I guess it makes it feel better. But like I tell people that's just a number that we put out there. And I don't know, like I know our Division of Fire Facebook page, we try to keep up on that much as we can. But Bob and those guys they like to keep that containment smaller than what it probably really is, just because in past we tell people, oh, it's 90%. And then something happens, a wind event or something crazy, and it gets a little bigger. And then we get like, I thought you said it was 90%. And it's like, so we keep it relatively small percentage.
Go ahead, Bing.
Yeah, I'm glad that Gold Creek Fire is small, because that last after 3 years ago when we had that fire up there in the South Fork, it really took a lot of our land and our hunting and everything else away from us up there, the way it burned. And I'm glad that it stopped burning over that Gold Creek country, and
You bet.
a few of us do still go up there and, through the Hidden Lake area, get up in the Gold Creek up there, but still it's still part of the South Fork, for us anyway, so
Yep.
it's, we'd hate to see any more of it get
Oh yeah.
burned, and ruined,
Yeah, I hold that place near and dear to my heart also. I do a lot of recreating up there, picking berries and hunting and fishing. So, me being, I like to call myself low on the totem pole there at Division Fire. I like to put my 2 cents in it and like put these babies out, but, safety first, things like that. Or, I hope they're doing their best of keeping those ones small and getting out, best they can. And another thing I was aware of this morning, they told me that they're closing it from Burnt Cabin back up towards Whitehorse for public safety. So those will be areas that because the fire, like if there's a wind event or, and it obviously we're not getting any rain or anything like that to help it out. So they want to keep the public out of that area until they can hopefully get that contained. So.
Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Devlin, you know anything about the stuff that's west of us? Plains, Thompson?
A little bit. I know they're having issues and they've gotten pretty big when we had that little storm come through with that wind event we had and stuff. And so I'm not too sure on like what their containments are. I know their fires are in the thousands acres and things like that. So I know Thompson Plains and Idaho, Lolo National Forest, they all have big ones that are in the thousands of acres and having issues with homes, evacuating homes and, containment stuff. So that's where all our smoke's coming from. But other than that, yeah, I don't know, like if they're getting a handle on those fires or not. And then, common stuff that we put out there, we are in extreme fire danger. First time we've been in extreme this early in a long time that I can remember. And then also stage 2 restrictions. Just it's early. We have a lot of summer to go. And so far stage 2 restrictions I think are working pretty well. We still have the occasional people that want to have a campfire somewhere or things like that. And then I guess just a little statistics for you. We average in the 45 to roughly 50 person caused fires a year on the reservation from October 1st to October 1st. And right now we're at 40. No, 13 of those are incendiary, which is arson suspicious. And that's our leading cause right now, which is not good. We have 8 equipment fires, which under equipment, it could be a blown tire. It could be railroad. It can be a lawnmower. It could be, so equipment's a big category, but we have 8 of those also. And then campfires, we have 5 unmanned campfires / party fires, which most of them are party fires, good old days and stuff like the 4th of July, we find party fires. So 5 of those, and then 4 fireworks fires. So that's kind of what is making up our 40-person cause fires this year.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. So Deb, just knowing that we're in the extreme fire danger, so I'm just kind of wondering at what point in time do we start looking at getting people out of the woods, start going into hoot owl,
Closures.
and start doing the appropriate
Yeah.
closures?
So-
is it, do we need to get into a red flag warning event, or
What?
I don't know. I'm just kind of waiting and seeing.
So this is my best description on that. So we are already in hoot owl. So stage 2 is hoot owl and enforcing that stuff. And the 3 things that I call them the 3 ingredients of going to like into certain restrictions, the levels, is resource availability. And right now, like we've been doing well. So we have lots of resources, a lot of out-of-staters, a lot of contractors. So we're looking good there as in having enough resources for what we've been getting. The second one is person caused fires. Now that one we have 40, which is above what we usually have this time of the year. And then the other one is our weather outlook, which doesn't look good. So hot and dry for the foreseeable future. Our person caused me, Ron Swaney, Tony Kshola Jr., CT, when we sit down and we look at person caused, we look at, because there's 9, 10 or more categories of person caused. I mean, railroad and power lines are in those categories of person caused. So when we have some of those, or we have a blown tire, or with someone pulling their chains, something like that is like accidents that are like down in the valley, things that are manageable, this and that. I guess I could say we don't like to go to forest closures until we get lots of, person caused fires in the forest. So if people are out picking berries, hunting, getting firewood, posting pollen, things like that, if we start seeing those fires, then it's time that I think we should go. But right now, we don't like to punish our membership, with their cultural, picking berries, fishing, all different types of things like that. And we're not having those issues right now. All of our fires, besides the incendiary ones that the people like to call arson, right now, those are the little nuisance ones that we're having, besides like you said, the equipment fires, the dragging a chain or a blown tire, things like that. So I guess if you were asking me, I wouldn't want to go to forest closures yet. I mean, that's not where we're having issues in the forest. We're not having issues in the forest. It's down here in the valley with, maybe a farmer, or like I said, people pulling, the tourist season's here. So we're having blown tires, we're having trailers, pulling chains, things like that. So, but
The fire that took place out in North Crow over the weekend, was that man caused?
that was person caused incendiary. Yep. Someone intentionally lit that, and I have my own, being an investigator, I have an idea.
Okay, Tony, did you have something?
Just to apologize real quick for being late here, trying to run around and do multiple things at once here. But Dev hit it on the nail there. Our forest closure, we're looking at, we're not seeing a bunch of starts within our forest by recreation or public or tribal membership yet. So that's one of the biggest things we kind of look at. And we do have resources, and so far we're catching most of our fires pretty small right now. So we're starting to stage them across the reservation, patrolling, setting up for different areas, different scenarios. So I think they're doing a great job. And when I first logged on, I heard Dev talking about a little update with the Jocko fire. Did you gave him an update with Jocko, Dev?
Yes, a little bit. Yep.
Okay, and we did pull resources off that fire yesterday, 27 personnel. The fire just is in a steep, very wind thrown, heavy fuel load type situation where the crew and the personnel said they kept continuously having to turn around here in Snags Fall. And that's just a dangerous situation. Along with evacuation of that area, we just didn't feel comfortable. They didn't feel comfortable. So we pulled resources back, sat at the sand table last night trying to figure out a bigger game plan on how to keep that fire at check, at least right now with air resources, and then pull in, trying to figure out a plan to box it in so it doesn't get very big. But we're trying to figure out something there where we can minimize the safety issues.
Okay, thank you, Tony. You said, what are the restrictions right now? We're live streaming, so are they allowed to have campfires? Are they supposed to be out of the woods by 1 o'clock? Is that right with the hoot owl?
Yeah, so stage 2 restrictions are no campfires allowed at all. No burning of debris, obviously. And then hoot owl, if you're in there logging, cutting firewood, anything, I mean, mowing your grass after 1 o'clock should be a no-no, so 1 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon is when you can try to get that stuff done, when it's lower temperatures, a little bit more humidity in the air, things like that. So after 1 o'clock, we want that to be done. And hopefully you need to stay for an hour to 2 hours and make sure you didn't start nothing before you leave, your work area.
Okay, thank you. Yesterday, I understood that there was an individual, an out-of-stater up at Mission Dam with a campfire. So that's why I was asking to have that clarified.
Yep.
And I
yep,
asked the individual if they had turned it in,
Yep.
because
And that's what, like Tony's saying, we're doing a lot of patrolling, a lot of staging our resources in areas. I mean, that's what I do every day. I go from Mission Dam, McDonald Lake, Twin Lakes, all the way through the Jocko, hit all the campsites and out. And then we have people on the river. So when we see a campfire, we're telling them to put it out, and if they don't, we call law enforcement and things like that.
thank you. Bing?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Say, Tony, I asked Dev if, I told Deb that we're gonna have a district meeting down in Arlee tomorrow night. And I was asking him to give a fire update, and we're gonna have it on Zoom. So if there's any chance of you or somebody else getting on there, and maybe if we can, maybe give a TUPS update too with how we're doing with the, with the TUPS right now, and to some of the loggers up there and woodcutters up there in Arlee. So, but if you can do that, I sure appreciate it, Tony.
Yes, send us the invite. Myself or Ron definitely can jump on for that, for sure.
Oh, it's already been
It's
in
in
place?
place.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
We have one more issue, I believe, right, Dev? If Greg is here.
Yep.
Morning, Madam Chair and members of council. Today's issue by Safety Dams is on page 7 of the Tribal Council packet. And the issue is requesting exemption from stage 2 hoot owl hours for the Crow Dam spillway construction. When stage 2 hoot owl, stage 2 restrictions were initiated, the contractor immediately went to adjusting their work schedule from approximately 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. to the 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. timeframe. And since that start of stage 2, we, as far as CT Camel and Ron Sweeney and Tony, met with the Chairwoman Fiant and also the BIA superintendent to talk about what the project currently consists of, and the site visit that came from that meeting with fire control to look at the site was such that there is an opinion by fire control that the site was sufficient, that it had enough setback from vegetation that they did not see a concern with a sense of having fire concerns. But also we brought up that the contractor does have provisions in place as far as water trucks to water the roadway for not only dust, but also for spraying the water on either side of the road and dam, and then down to the staging area to minimize any type of starting of fires, both during the hoot owl hours as well as the intent on trying to work until 4 p.m. And so as part of the overall work that is at the site led to these aerial photos that start on page 8 of Tribal Council packet to show the area of construction and how it's contained within the area that's already been removed of vegetation, as well as what is then the overall routing from the construction site, which is on page 8, and the routing that the contractor takes as part of their normal work operations that basically starts on page 9 and is then following the route over to the construction staging area that again is mostly urban and backfill operations that then again forwarding on to page 11 is another aerial photo of the main work that's involved within the disturbed non-vegetated area.
Question, Madam Vice Chair.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you. So Greg, in this project, is the contractor utilizing our Indian preference contractors' water trucks?
At this moment, no. I have reached out to fire control to find out who's available to provide assistance. And right now there is one company that is not under contract with fire control that it is, and pardon me, I did not write down the name. It is Green. Oh, my apologies. But that is a company that is not on the current contractors list that we've reached out to find out their availability as far as providing more safety measures for fire control.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because like when we were talking about it earlier, I think a good majority of them tribal contractors are on fire, but.
And thank you, Councilman. There are tribal workforce that do operate the equipment that's part of the fire protection measures. So it's a mixture of who's available at the time to continue to operate the water trucks during normal operation.
No, understood. I just wanted to make sure that all of our Indian preference contractors are being utilized.
Yes. And like I say, I'm reaching out, waiting for a call back from this one member.
And like we were saying earlier, CT and I went out and visited this site and did a really thorough prevention, we call it Firewise, inspection on it to look at where any issues would have been. And I felt pretty comfortable, so did CT, about there wasn't a lot of issues. There's not a lot of risk with fire in this area with everything being, and you see the pictures, work's being done in big dust bowls, I like to call it, but.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Ellie.
based on Deb and CT's assessment of the area, I would make the motion to approve the request to exempt stage 2 hoot owl hours for the Crow Dam spillway construction project.
A motion by Ellie, second by Martin. All those in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And then just, I guess another thing to add is we will also be making continue visits down there to make sure things are looking good. Part of my, I'll add that to my daily patrol or somebody else's.
Thank you, guys. Keep
Thank
up
you.
the good work.
Thank you, guys.
So next we got Rusty. Is he on? Okay. And Rusty's presentation is page 13 through 19 in the packet. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair and fellow council members. Thanks for your time this morning. I know you have a busy schedule ahead of you, so I'm going to keep my presentation as brief as possible and hopefully leave room for any questions you might have towards the end of the presentation. But I'm going to be co-presenting today with Rebecca Ramsey. She's the Executive Director of Swan Valley Connections over in Condon. And just briefly before I get to the heart of the issue here today, the tribes and Swan Valley Connections co-manage a section of land, 640 acres over in the Swan, that includes the confluence of Elk Creek and the Swan River. And so the issue I wanted to bring forward to you today is I was approached last month, early June, by Mr. Pat O'Haron. He's he's retired now, but he was the former Chief Planning Director for Missoula County, and he now heads the Open Lands Committee for Missoula County, which reports directly to the Missoula County Commissioners. And Mr. O'Haron, as part of the Open Lands Committee and the Missoula County Commissioners, would like to present a special award both to the tribes and Swan Valley Connections for the management work, the cooperative management work we've done on this section of land over in the Swan Valley since 2007. Now, just a brief background on this parcel. It's probably one that you may or may not be familiar with. We've not really presented much on this piece of ground to you in the past, but it was purchased with Bonneville Power Administration funding in the latter part of 2006. And this was a former Plum Creek section of land. And currently the tribes technically own the east half of the section, and Swan Valley Connections owns the west half of the section. And there's a map of the property on page 18 of your packet. And it just gives a general overview of this section. It's section 35, just west of Condon. And again, it includes the confluence of Elk Creek and the Swan River. And it's very important spawning and rearing habitat for bull trout. That was the primary purpose for the acquisition. So I'm gonna allow Rebecca to give just a brief overview of Swan Valley Connections and our partnership over the years. But the primary reason I wanted to present to you today is first, just to get a sense from Tribal Council if you are interested in receiving this award. Mr. O'Haron and the other county commissioners don't want to bestow an award upon you if you're not interested in receiving it. So I just wanted to get your approval to move forward with this award if it is indeed something you're interested in, and then would be interested in getting feedback from you on who in particular within the government organization I should work with as we prepare for this award, which would be presented ideally later on this year sometime. So unless there's any immediate questions, I can turn it over to Rebecca and allow her to make a few brief comments, and then we can get into any questions or comments you might have.
Is there any questions from council? I don't see any. Rusty, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair and members of the council. It is such a privilege to be with you today and introduce myself. I'm Rebecca Ramsey, the Executive Director of Swan Valley Connections. And when I first came to the organization, it was one of my primary things that I was attracted to was this partnership with the CSKT. And during this time, I have been with the organization, we have been trying to increase our stewardship and involvement with the Elk Creek Conservation Area property and with the tribe. Casey Ryan is a member of my board of directors who has been a great asset for the programs that we do. An overview of the organization is we are a collaborative conservation and education organization that is committed to inspiring the conservation of and the stewardship of the resources of the Swan Valley. And we do that through providing educational opportunities for people of all ages, as well as coordinating technical and financial assistance to do various projects on the ground and increasing the capacity of the resources themselves and the people who influence those resources, either private landowners or our federal and state agencies, and again, in working with the tribe. And we have called out our values of Indigenous perspectives, and we are trying to incorporate traditional ecological knowledge into all of the work that we do, and just continuing to reach out and expand our relationships with tribal members and influencing the college students that we host, and just helping to inform our communities and the work that we do on the ground. So it is a real privilege and an honor to get to work with you all and to increase our relationship. And I think that the partnership that we enjoy has room to just continue to expand and improve in all of our programs. And we hope to do that. We're also part of hosting the Mission Mountain Youth Crew and that pilot project. And again, just looking to do as much as we can with and for you, for the tribe, and honor the land that we sit on in the Swan. So thank you so much. And I welcome any questions about the organization or our intentions.
Is there any questions from council? Comments?
So Madam Vice Chair, if I may, I might just include this special award that Missoula County is interested in presenting to the tribes and Swan Valley Connections. It's sort of an offshoot. Through the Open Lands Committee and the county commissioners, they annually present a stewardship award, typically to a landowner within Missoula County that is demonstrating, good stewardship values on the ground. This award that the Missoula County would like to give us is kind of an offshoot of that. It's really meant to highlight this unique and special partnership between the tribes and Swan Valley Connections. And also, according to Pat O'Haron, the Missoula County Commissioners are really eager to strengthen what already seem to be very good ties between Missoula County and the Tribal Council. But this is just yet another step to improve and strengthen those relationships between the two governments. So with that, really the main point of us coming in today was just to gauge your interest in this award and whether you want to direct me to continue on with preparing for this.
Ellie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate Missoula County's commissioners' interest in that award, and think that any time that we can celebrate folks coming together and working in such effective ways, that we should take advantage of that. So I fully support them proceeding with that if they so desire.
Bing?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would kind of follow up with Ellie, just saying I would request that we accept the stewardship award from Missoula County for the Elk Creek Conservation Area and also the Swan Valley connections too. So I would recommend that the tribe accept this award from Missoula County.
Okay, so I guess we didn't need any action outside of the fact that he was asking if they wanted to go ahead and pursue it, so. Looks like you got the consensus to go forward, Rusty.
Okay. Well, thank you, Madam Vice Chair and fellow council members. And I'll likely schedule some more time with you all later this summer, early fall, as we're doing some other work on Elk Creek Conservation Area that I want to make sure that you all are in the loop on, and I can give you some updates on how this award is proceeding, because as I mentioned earlier, the award would likely be presented sometime September, October timeframe. I'm thinking at this point. So yeah, I will be back in within the next couple of months for some updates.
Okay, thank you. That's great. I look forward to it as well. We've got a really good and open relationship with Missoula County, so.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for doing such a great job too, Rusty, with managing it.
Thanks.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Come back and visit again.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm so looking forward to inviting you all out to the property to have a celebration together. So I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Okay, so we're a little bit ahead. Is legal? Are Chelsea and Ryan ready to go, or Rick?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chair. I think Ryan has joining. Chelsea is out today, but she has made some of the changes that we had discussed the last time. The nonprofit that would be a benefit, 501c3 for the tribal government was discussed with council, and hopefully you've all had a chance to think about that and are ready to continue the discussion. One thing that we did change is based on council's suggestion, the name that is up for consideration, but again, subject to change as you see fit. Friends of the Flathead Nation. And the fund would be the Friends of the Flathead Nation Fund. I believe that sort of distinguishes it from and there was some concern about it being maybe confused or something with the college foundation. We also took the feedback on board members and are suggesting essentially tying those board members. Jen, just let me know. I can pull it up if you don't have it on your screen. If you are scrolling through your packets, it's starting on page 20. Give me a second. I'll try to pull them up here. While I'm doing that, the board members, so we heard the desire to keep the sort of council as the shareholder, if you will, separate from the board of the entity, and thinking through that, thought it would be a good idea, given its intended purpose, to tie it to some of the positions that would make sense in the organization, that being cash flow investments, manager, economic development director, and tribal resource management director, or director of tribal resources, or tribal resource management, excuse me. So that is what is proposed here. The individuals being Velda Shelby as the economic development director, Gregory Spar as the cash flow investments manager, and Clayton Matt as the director of resource management. And then there were a couple other minor catches that were pointed out by council related to inconsistencies in the quorum requirements between the documents that are now updated.
Go ahead, Sharmil.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Rick and Greg, for presenting the revised version. I have a question on page 24 of the Articles of Incorporation. Says on Article 3, letter C, that each corporate member shall be entitled to one vote. So the voting corporate members then are the 10 council members. Okay, and then down in section D, it says the meetings of the voting corporate members shall be held, etc. And the part that I'm questioning is it says that the meetings may be called by the corporation's CEO who I'm guessing is the executive officer, and then the board of directors, or 10% of the voting corporate members. So one member of the council can call a meeting?
Correct. And the CEO, as I mentioned last time, we're not anticipating actually staffing this, but this is kind of to some degree future proofing if it gets large enough to justify staff. But that would be for who can call a meeting. The meetings would then still have to, be appropriately attended and have a quorum before any action can be taken.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies for me. So the corporation CEO would be the LLC corporation that we're
Correct.
speaking of developing, and it's just anticipating that it could grow to that level. The board of directors are not the voting corporate members, but the voting corporate members are the council, and any one of the council can call for a meeting of the corporation.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
What's that? Do you have something, Martin? Go ahead, Rick.
Well, I just wanted to ask if there were any other questions or thoughts on the changes or suggestions that we'd made in terms of initial board of directors or that thought process.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Martin.
I guess if the silence is consensus, I'll make the motion to authorize the bank account first at Eagle. Or we gotta do the corporation, or were we doing any of that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I did it backwards.
No, thank you. The bank account resolution, that one is, I would ask council not to act on that particular resolution at this time. More just a placeholder for you all to see kind of what that would look like. But once this is established, we would need to work with the bank to make sure that they're comfortable with the resolution that we're providing. And so if that needs to come back, we'll bring that back after the entity is established.
Go ahead, Charmel.
Thank you. Just another question. I just want to make sure I understand this better. In Article 5, purposes and objectives, it describes the manner in which the net earnings will be distributed. And as I understand the purpose of this development of this nonprofit, we're getting contributions from individuals who want the benefit of a tax-free donation, basically to a specific cause, whatever the board of directors or the foundation may be working on and collecting donations, financial contributions or other contributions or whatever they may be. So those would be probably restricted in a sense that either they're donations that are given unrestrictedly and can be used however the foundation or organization through the board of directors chooses, coming to the voting council members for approval. So there would be designated uses all along. So this Article 5 on page 25 is saying that the net earnings, now, so the net earnings is referring to, is there an administrative fee or any type of an overhead that would be taken out, and then there's a net earning that we're referring to?
Yeah, so there's kind of two parts to the response there. The first is there will be some administrative fees. The way we're setting this up, there would be a tax return and some other costs associated with the operating of the foundation. But also, if money for some reason ends up being held in the foundation for a while and it grows, part of this is ensuring kind of in the nonprofit, the spirit of nonprofits, these clauses prevent the dissolution to some degree of somebody creating a nonprofit, getting donations, and then liquidating it for the benefit of themselves. It's clauses like this that were responsible for creating, for example, Headwaters Foundation when community medical was sold to Billings Clinic. So what this is saying is all the net earnings have to be used for the purposes that they're intended, and any remaining amounts, whatever those might be, interest earnings or things, can't basically just go to the council. And really it's about going to the council as individual members, not even so much as the council acting as a governing body of the government, if that makes sense. So it's a protection against bad acts to some degree.
Oh, I think he didn't second it. He was talking. So go ahead, Ellie.
Question, so when you talk about money being held and interest generated, that's not necessarily money earmarked for like an endowment, but endowments are possible under this too, right? For people who wish to donate large sums and then.
They're not prohibited. And in that case, I think that would be an instance where money would ultimately be held here in the Friends Foundation, with the earnings being then designated for, typically the earnings on those types of gifts are designated for some purpose. It also means if large amounts are coming through, even a day of interest can sometimes add up over time. So, but I do want to reiterate our intention, even though we're setting this up so that it can potentially become kind of a standalone entity, which could have staff and could have endowment funds and things, is really just to ease the contributions that individuals and foundations would want to make to causes like MMIP and supporting our wildlife or other efforts.
Go ahead, Chair Mel.
Rick, in your experience of developing these types of units, operating units, is there a need to provide for a way to like, I don't know if I want to say spin off, but like have another body created underneath this one? Is that kind of growth possible or anticipated?
I think it's possible, not anticipated, and the way we had intended it is that growth would generally happen with the creation of funds within the foundation instead of with new entities generally. I can't think of a specific reason for, given what we're intending here, that there would be a need for any additional subsidiaries or anything of that type in this structure.
Okay, thank you. I was just, I guess, thinking about some of the nonprofits who end up developing revenue producing units to support their charitable actions.
And that might, I don't want to say it can't or wouldn't be a recommendation at some point to the council. But our idea was to let those be individual entities that the tribe could spin off without having to go through this particular entity and kind of keep it, we want to keep it as streamlined as possible. So we don't have another entity with, unnecessary overhead and administrative costs associated with it.
So I was going to ask Rick, what is the action needed today?
So it would be if council's comfortable, it would be to approve the creation of this new corporation, and then we would take this through our corporate ordinance and follow the steps using these documents to get it established. From there, we would start the process of the 501c application, and generally that can take up to 6 months. Hopefully we can get it done quicker.
Mike?
Madam Chair, I'd make the motion to approve the articles of incorporation and bylaws as stated, and also approve that they proceed with establishing Friends of the Flathead Nation.
Got a motion by Mike, second by Charmel. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain. Unanimous motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks, Greg. Does council need a break, or are we ready to go right into legal? Okay. 10 minutes?
Is it just for?
Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. And we've got the legal department. Good morning, Yolanda.
Good morning, members of council. Today we have three issues that we're bringing our three, well, probably a little bit more than three issues, but three people that we're presenting today. Brian Upton will be presenting, John Harrison, and then also Stu and Mike. And then I think Ryan might also want to bring a couple issues on water at the end. But all these, we're asking and requesting that they be in executive session.
Okay. So we'll go out of regular and into executive.
And then Brian will be our first presenter, if that works.